A Ramsey County District Judge denied the Coleman campaign's motion for a temporary restraining order and dismissed their case. The case would have stopped the city of Minneapolis from opening and counting 32 absentee ballots, and if you look at the copy of the lawsuit that we've provided, the section highlighted here in yellow makes it clear that it would have stopped the counting of any ballot anywhere in the state that had not been counted and placed in a sealed ballot box before midnight on Election Day, November 4th. You can read the language in the Coleman lawsuit right here. They wanted to stop all the counting, not just these 32 absentee ballots. So if a county was still counting votes at 12:01 that night, as so many were due to the high turnout, the Coleman campaign would have those votes simply thrown away. In other words, this was an attempt to stop counting votes that had been properly and legally cast. Moreover, the Coleman campaign violated multiple laws and court rules in an effort to pull off this Saturday sneak attack. Last night, at around 10 p.m., counsel of the Coleman campaign telephoned Judge Gearin and told her that they wanted to bring a motion the next morning. They did not notify our attorneys. They did not notify the city of Minneapolis. And judging from the looks on a lot of your faces, they didn't tell any of you about it either. Our attorneys were notified at 8:15 this morning, a little more than an hour before the court proceedings were scheduled to begin, and only then were we given a copy of the lawsuit. Wisely, the Ramsey County District Court threw out the Coleman sneak attack. Make no mistake, the Coleman campaign attempted to evade established legal procedures on a Saturday morning in an effort to stop the counting of legally cast ballots across the state. Folks, right now we're in a canvass. This happens every year. And every year, the vote totals change as tabulation errors are discovered and corrected. But the Coleman campaign has tried at every turn to obstruct and cast doubt upon this routine process. First, Senator Coleman himself said there should be no recount, despite the incredibly close unofficial margin that we all saw on election night, and urged Al Franken to concede the election before the recount, and indeed even before the canvass that happens every year. Then the Coleman campaign posted guards at canvass locations as if county election workers needed Coleman campaign volunteers to keep them honest. Then they filed a data practices request in an effort to make it seem like the adjustments being made to the unofficial vote count were somehow a sign that shenanigans were taking place. Here's what they don't want you and don't want the people of Minnesota to know. If you'll take a look at the spreadsheet we've handed out, this is all publicly available information. We have not even done any math here. Okay? In 2006, if you look at the top line, in the Klobuchar-Kennedy race, during the canvass that happens every year, Senator Klobuchar's vote total decreased by 666 votes during the canvass, as tabulation errors were discovered and corrected. Mark Kennedy's total decreased by 3,520 votes. The Coleman campaign calls the adjustments we've seen during this canvass improbable and statistically dubious. Apparently he's forgotten about the two previous statewide elections he was involved in. In 1998, during the canvass, his own vote margin increased by over 10,000 votes. In 2002, which was not that long ago, in the previous Senate election, his vote total increased by 51,048 votes. Improbable and statistically dubious? Norm Coleman knows better, and he's hoping you won't find out. The point of the canvass is to make sure that every vote is counted properly. The Coleman campaign doesn't want that to happen. They want to freeze in place the slim lead they had at midnight on Election Day and stop any further counting of ballots. They want the early, inaccurate, unofficial count to stand and the later, more accurate counting to be stopped. We're not going to let them. We want every vote counted properly. And because, whether the Coleman campaign likes it or not, we live in a nation and a state with laws about this sort of thing, that's exactly what is going to happen. Be happy to take a few of your questions. Also with us, in case we get into the weeds, is our counsel of the campaign, David Lillehog.
Do you have a written order from the judge?
I'm sorry?
Do you have a written order from the judge?
We do not. We left the courthouse. She had dictated her order on the record. We expect a written order, but transcript exists.
Could you discuss